Okay, so next thing we're gonna start today is user administration, and since you all have access to the server, you will have access to the root access, right? So here is the time you're gonna start becoming the super user, and this is where you would be doing some administration part. Okay, all right. So today's is 08062022. All right. So here. Okay, so in user administration, what will happen is we'll talk about the user root here. Okay, so everybody connect from your computer to your first server. So my first server is 152. So I'm going to clear the screen. I'm going to do SSH, and then I'm going to put root and then the IP address. Okay, once you do that, you will connect to the server here, and see I'm connected, and I didn't get the password request. Okay, so you guys must be wondering why we are using without a password here. The reason we are not using the password is the password stuff we have already established the passwordless fingerprint. Okay, so when we went through this process, we we exchanged the fingerprints between the host server and then the master server, and it's being used as from the user Zafar. Okay, the system has already did calculations in the background and knows who's connecting where, and as long as the keys are matching and everything, and you're logged in as in the master server as Zafar or your own ID, then you're good. Okay, so moving along, the next thing I'm going to show you is so we have user administration here. So we logged in, and over here you see the name here, right? The name over here you see is a root. Okay, so this is the third time you're facing the name root. Can somebody tell me when else we heard about root two more times? So we are hearing about this thing as root, right? And give me just a moment here.
The first time is the root directory, like after home.
Yeah, very
comes
good.
root.
Very good. Who's that? Who's this? Sufyan?
Hassan.
Hassan. Very good. So So first time we heard about root directory is over here when you went in there in the directory structure. We saw what root is. Slash is root. Over here, all the way on the top. Okay, a big slash is root. Okay, and and when you logged in here as a user, you are a root user. My drawing is horrible, but I should do the work. Oh, come on. Root user, and he is administrator. And the next root is when you logged in as administrator, and if you type pwd, the working directory for the root is also root user directory. So in this case, the root/root /root directory administrator's home directory. Okay, so all right, any questions now? So you're dealing with two roots over here, and then the other root is the topmost directory. So it's very simple. Okay. All right, so let me capture the screen. Okay, so let's see here. So what we have is we have a root, and he's an administrator. And he's a super user, okay? Essence, because he have full access everywhere. And when it comes to root user has full access, and root user cannot be renamed. Okay, and you will have the password for the root user, so never share the password with anybody. And also, don't send it in email or don't send it through chats, anything like that, okay? Alright, so once you're logged in there, now you have a full root access here on these servers. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do some root administration. So I'm going to clear the screen, and I'm going to say host name. Okay, make sure you are in your own server. Mine is Zafar01@zmpt.com. The one you have set up, the name would be your name 01@zmpt.com. Okay, keep it that way. Alright, and how do you know which user you logged in as? You type in who am I? Who am I? And when you type that, it will tell you the name of the user, your user root. If you type who am I when you logged in as your own, it should tell you your name also. Let me try into the server here, Zafar. And if I say who am I, over here it's going to say Zafar. Okay, so that's the only thing I want to show. Now going forward, we will be doing everything as root. So I would assume you guys are logged into your own servers and then running the commands as root. Okay. So now let's let me just put this here. Now the next thing we're going to learn is how to create a user here. Okay, create user. So in here, in this server, you want to create a user. I want to create a username. So the command is user add. User add is one word, add. And then I'm creating a username. Now you provide the name of the user. Okay, so I'm going to say test1, test01 actually, test01. or 1, and then I will hit enter. And what happened here is it went and did something in the background and came back here. So if you didn't receive the error message, that means it worked. So what happens here is there is a file that gets updated. So what file gets updated? The file that gets updated is called password file. So if you do cat/etc/passwd. Can somebody remind me what is cat? What does cat do?
It reads the file that you go to.
Very good. It reads the file and then show you the output on the screen. Alright, so you see a lot of this stuff here, but look all the way on the bottom. The latest entry is this file here. We just have created a username test, and then there were other information here. I will go over it in a minute, and that's where you see this thing is happening here. Okay, so all right, so cat etc password, and I'm only copying the last line. So here what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to break this down. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so one, two, three, 4, 5, 6. Okay. All right. So test here. We have test 1. And this field means this is user. Alright, and this is password. Okay, so what it means is you have to set the password for X. Alright, and the second field is user ID. which is 1001. Okay, and the next part is group ID, which is 1001. Okay, so in the Linux system, the username and the group ID are the same. Okay, when it creates it, the default username and user ID are same. And the fifth thing is slash. Can somebody tell me what this would be? /home/test1. What is
A
this?
home directory
Home
for
directory.
user test1.
Very good, very good. Home directory for test1. Home dir. And the last part is bin bash. Okay, so what it tells is if the user have access to the which command line. Alright, so this will tell bin/bash. We will learn later on that there will be some users. There will be some users that will not require direct login to the system. Those will be the service users that does not require login to the system. So this is where we come here and edit this. Okay, we'll go through that in a bit. All right, so
Can you repeat one more time? What is this? The bin bash is what?
so bin/bash. What is this? This is actually a CLI, access to command line interface. Early in the class I said, what is CLI? Pretty much CLI is this. You have access to the system and you are able to type in, right? That is CLI. So there will be some users. CLI, I explained you earlier. CLI means you will have access to the command line interface. Okay, but we are learning, getting deeper into the administration part. There will be some users, especially not the human users. There will be some application users or application ID that will need access to the server, but they don't require access to the CLI. So in that scenario, we will deny them access here to CLI so that they won't end up causing some problem later on. Okay, if it's not clear, let me know. I will stay here and explain that to you.
So bin bash is a user, which is not a human user.
No. Bin bash is CLI.
Oh, it's a CLI.
It's a CLI, yeah. If we manually go and remove bin bash, then he won't have CLI in there, and he will like. So what I'll do is let me. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say user add test2. Okay, and he's added there. And what I'm gonna do is, since I'm a super user, I could do anything. And I'm gonna go in vi etc passwd. This is not a password file. This file holds the information regarding what I'm going to do is I'm going to do false, FALSE. Okay, and I'm going to save and exit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open another window and log it in there. So I'm going to go into that server one more time, okay? And then I'm going to switch you. This is kind of prematurely, but don't concentrate on it. SU test2, and I'll hit enter. And I'm still back here at why is he not doing it?
Maybe test 02.
No, I created test 2 here. So maybe just get out of here. Oh, you know what? Let me test. Let me put the password in it. I haven't put the password of user 1. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to SSH here as test2 from master server. It's asking for the password. Okay, the system is connection lost. The system is not registered. Okay, so the user the user is getting denied access here. Okay, so the reason being is, let me see if I go back in here and give him bash. Okay, so now he's able to log in into CLI. Okay, and since we removed him, we didn't provide him access to the CLI, then what was happening is he was not able to connect to the system here. He was getting kicked out. Connection to the system was lost. Okay, why was that happening? Actually, it was working, but the way the user was connecting into the CLI was not allowed. Okay, so you will get explanation when you actually start working a job, some of the stuff. So we'll just leave this part there. Okay, so this part you won't end up using as much, but if you come across something like this, then you may have to just search through the documentation and just take care of it. Okay, so usually that's the problem for the application team. Okay, application team will tell you, create the user but don't give them access to that CLI. So you will have that information. All you do is you just deny them the CLI access. Okay, all right. So this part here is just, remember, by default it's bin bash here. So if you look at almost everybody in there, everybody have access to bin bash. Right, so okay. Oh, okay, some of these are like the service ID, so at the end they have /bin bash, no logins here. So these are the system generated IDs but let's see here which one have IDs. So root have login here, and bin it doesn't have. All this doesn't have IDs here, and shutdown is actually a command. Okay, so but if you look at the master server, let me go in here as Zafar. All right, over here we have like so many users, right? These are human users, so they have access to bin bash, bin bash, bin bash, bin bash, bin bash, bin bash. So all the human users, they have access to bin bash, and the one doesn't have access to is the ones which are automated users, like the machine users, which does not require the login, but they go and do something in the background. Okay, you will have a good explanation when you're actually working. Okay, so move. Yeah,
This
go ahead.
morning when I was doing work on my body, I entered the tree command, and then it gave me like 190 something thousand
Yeah,
files, and then 20 plus thousand folders.
that is true. Where all that thing is, you probably over here. Are you in slash?
Yes.
You are in slash, right? So you're doing tree from here, and all this. That's actually the entire operating system.
Okay.
Okay, so as a root user, you have power to delete one of these files here. Okay, files or folders, and you got to be a little bit careful here. If you end up deleting something wrong, then the system is not going to perform good, and it will cause a lot of problems. So yeah, as a root user, you have a lot of responsibility to take care of this. All right, so if I may add here, use root user account responsibly. All right, I'm going to save this here. All right, now let's continue the fun here. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to clear this screen here, and we have for the test user, I'm going to go ahead and remove the test2 user here. Okay, user del-d tst. Yeah, don't worry about what I just did at this moment here. Now what we need to do is we need to set up a password for the test1. Password for test1. So what is going to happen here is the password. The command to set up a password is PASSWD. Okay, if you do PASSWD and hit enter, it will tell you to change your own password. Whatever you logged in at the moment, it will tell you. So I'm logged in as user root. It will tell you to change its own password here. But what we're gonna do is now I'm gonna change the password PASSWD and name of the user. So if you are a regular user, you are not able to set the password for somebody else. Okay, only the root user could set up a password for everybody else. Add itself. So if you run this command as Zafar, it won't help you. It won't allow you to do that. But as a root user, you could run the password command for anybody else and set the password here. So before that, the password is stored into the cat etc shadow file. Okay, the information that holds the user information is password file, not the name, not the full passwd. That's the whole thing, password. It doesn't have a zero o and r in it. Passwd is a password file, and /etc shadow file is the place that holds the password here. So over here you see this user ZMPT, and from here to here is the password here. It's the encrypted password. So if I copy and put this into a different machine and I tell the user ZMPT, use your existing password, he should be able to log in. Okay, this is the same exact password, but I am, as a root user, not able to see the password. What I'm seeing is a hex. I'm seeing is an alphanumeric number here. So the password is scrambled into the alphanumeric number so that people can see it. So for test user, there is password is blank. Why is it blank? Because we have not set it up yet. Okay, so let's set it up and then we'll come back here and see he will have a alphanumeric number in here, a long number. So what I'm gonna do is, let me just clear this, and the command is passwd test1. Okay, you guys are following along, just do this with me. And I'm gonna hit enter. What will happen is it will tell me to create the password here. Okay, alright, so I'll hit enter, and it's telling me to give the new password. I'm gonna say red hat 1. Okay, so what happened here is it will give you this information here. It was successful. And when you see this, all authentication tokens were updated, that means it was successful here. Okay, so let me make a note here. Alright, and I'm going to make note here that the password is stored into the so they are stored into the etc shadow file. So if I do cat etc shadow, now you see, look at the test user here. He have the alphanumeric information here. This part is a password. It scrambled itself, and I gave the red hat password here, right? But it scrambled itself and keeping it in a secure way. So even the root user just cannot go and look at somebody's password here, okay?
So the etc shadow password is the etc file?
Yeah, etc shadow file.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks ugly here. Let me just. Okay. So you know what that is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break it down, each component, and see what it is. Okay. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this part here, and so I'm just shortening that up, and this part here. So first part it says is test, right? So it's a user. Which user is that? This is test, TEST1. Okay, and the second part is the password. And this is, I'm going to put it in here. Okay, and the third part, the one you have is like 19210. Okay, this is the days. These, if you type in Google here, if you type in Google, so days since December 31st, 1969. Okay, that is when the Unix operating system was released. So it's been like 19,212 days. Okay, so whatever, 52 years ago. So what we have here is timestamp, a date stamp, that this password was created on this day. Okay, so what day is that? 19,210 days. So why is it showing us 10? Because this is calculating from the London time. Okay, it's already a next day over there. So that's why it's doing it to 2011. I think it's 1970, I guess. Not this, January 1st. Let's do January 1st. Okay, yeah. So since January 1st, 1970, that many days has been there. So this is what it is. So that's how it does the calculation here. 19,210 days this password was created. Okay, and the next part, it got 0 in it. That 0, it says that this field is for grace period. So how long can user be able to use after the password expires? How many days the user have grace period to use it? So it's 0 days. If the password expires, the user cannot use the password anymore. Okay, and then the next part is expiration date. Okay, over here expiration date is like 99,000 years to 99,000 days, but in reality the system goes there and changes this. Okay, usually it's like this here, 60 days. Okay, the reason we are seeing this is the system is raw, it's not configured yet. There is some more configuration needed before system goes into production here. So that's how it comes from the factory or the vendor. Okay, and then the second part you see, last part you see is 7 days. So this is the warning period. Okay, do you guys ever get a message that password is going to expire in 7 days? This is where it's coming from. And the other ones are left blank. It will be used as if something else comes up here. So right now I'm not worried about that. So at this moment, so in reality you will not be you don't have to worry about all this too much here. In reality you won't be using it as much, or it's just informational. Okay, all right, so what I'm going to do is let me stretch this. Okay, looks good now. Perfect. So
if we need to change the expiration days and all those things, we do that in PuTTY.
yeah, you do that as a PuTTY, but there is a specific file you have to update here. Okay, so that file I will show that in a minute here, that file. Okay,
Okay.
actually let me show you now. The file that gets updated is this file here, vi etc logins login.def. This is the file that controls the login definitions, and in there, so you come here, you see that maximum pass days 999. You come here and you change this around to, usually set this to 60 days, and everything else looks good here. Okay, and all right, so okay, so all you need is this much information here. You don't need anything else other than this here is so login definition is defined in /etc login.defs. This is the file that will tell you where all this information can be manipulated here. Okay, so normally this is what it looks like at work, and here this thing is usually not changed, but let me explain you what this is. This part here is minimum user ID. So this is user ID series, okay? So if you notice here, the user ID, let me get out of here. If you notice earlier here, oh okay, so if you want to know somebody's ID, you just type ID and test1. It will give you the user ID and group ID. So it has like 10,001, right? Where is this coming from? It's coming from here. So the series starts at 1001, and if you have like a 60,000 users, then it will stop at like 60,000. 559, they will have like a longer ID. So from here to here, between these two series, the user ID is created here. It's just informationally, it's insignificant at work. Okay, and it's the same thing with the system user ID. You know what, actually you don't need this one here. Okay, we're worried about the group IDs here, so this part. So this part is showing you as a user ID, and this part is showing you as a group ID. And so since the group IDs are starting at the thousands, that's why we have the group ID earlier starting into thousands. See, the user ID is starting into thousands and group ID is starting into thousands. So if it was 2000, then the group ID would have started like, group ID would be 1000, and the user ID would have been starting with 1000, and group ID would have started from 2000. Where it's all coming from here.
So if we go in in VI etc password, we can change the group IDs also.
You could definitely change the group ID, but stay within this range. Yeah, that's a very good question. You could manually go in there and change it. Okay, so moving along, we already looked at so okay, any questions here so far? Now you have to be a little bit careful here, don't get confused. Even at work, the most companies, they are not paying too much attention for this here. Oh, the user ID have to be specific and the group ID have to be specific. Whatever the system is generating, the big companies, they are flowing with that, because it takes extra time to manage it. But whatever the one they have a default, that's what it's using. So most of the time, user ID and the group ID are usually the same. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is so this is the regular test user, right? So what we could do is we could elevate this user and grant him to become the root access. Okay, this is something would be in your situation. You would be logging in as a regular user, then you will switch to root. So let me log in as a regular user here. First I have to log into the system here. Zafar. Okay, I'm into master system, and from here I'm gonna do SSH test 1 into that server we are working into, and I'm gonna put in the password. Now notice we are not going in as a passwordless. Each time you go in there you have to go as put in the password here. Why? Can somebody tell me why we have to put in the password? Since we already set a password for this server, right, earlier, why am I having to put in the password?
You only set up for root, not for all users.
Yeah, that specific user, and logged in as that specific user, logged in as root. A very good answer. That means you got this game. Alright, now this test user is just a regular test user. There are a lot of restrictions this user cannot there are a lot of things that this user cannot do. Now what I'm going to do is let's see if this user is able to cat etc password. Oh, he should be able to do password, but shadow. See, this user has a permission denied. Password file is very important file in the system, right? It's holding the password. So as a test user, he doesn't have a permission to look into the password file here. So this topic is called providing sudo access to regular user. Grant root /sudo access to test 1, a regular user. So what did he have? He had access denied here. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna give him access. So the way to do this is the command. So you cannot do this as test. You have to be a root user. Root user is managing the other users, right? So the command is usermod, okay, -a and -g wheel and name of the user. I'll explain this to you in a minute here. Test 1. Okay, and if you do ID test 1, do you notice he has under groups, he has an extra group. Now he's a part of 2 groups now. One is the group itself, him, and the other one is he's part of a wheel group. Wheel group, anybody who is in the wheel group is considered as a administrators. So let me copy this part here. So grant access as a root user. Okay, so user mod -a and -g. So what is this happening here is so over here UID means user ID, okay? GID means group ID. And groups so groups is users membership. So is it possible that a user, you are a member of YMCA and you are a member of your local masjid? So these are all the groups you are belong to, okay, as an individual user. That's all it is. Users membership to other groups. Let me do ID root, what he belongs to. Okay, he has his own category. Everything is for him is 0, okay, so I'm not worried about that part. Now you're logged in as test user, right? Test1. So how do you read this file here? So instead of just typing cat, you type sudo. Sudo means super user do. Do this as a super user. That's what it's called. And it's going to ask for the password. Okay, and sudo password for test1. Test is not a sudo's file here. So what you have to do is you have to exit and come back. So whenever you reset somebody's password here, tell them to get out of the system and reset the password, and then tell them to get back in there. Now if I run this command as cat etc sudo password, and I'm going to say red hat, I'm providing the password for test1. Now he's able to read the file. But look, he's still stuck as test1. But since we elevated this, that means he has password here. So sudo means super user do. Super user do means do as a super user. Who is the super user? Admin. Okay, let me clear this, and alright, since the user has already put in the password just not too long ago, it won't ask you for the password, okay? But if you exit out of here and you go back in there again, and then when you try to run the sudo command, it will ask you for the password actually. and it times out after a little bit. User now has become access to /etc shadow. Perform this as root user. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna switch to root user from test 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to root. So how are you going to do? What you're going to do is sudo su and hyphen. In this command, hyphen means root. So in this command, okay, sudo super user do sudo, okay, and su means switch user. Switch user, okay, su snu, and then the little hyphen means root. So the system is saying switch to root user. Alright, so let me take a picture here. Let me save it. I saved it here and refresh it. Alright, so and then you hit enter. Now it will ask you for the password here again. Oh, it didn't ask you for the password. Why did it ask you for the password? Because we were just in. So let me just get out of here. Sudo su hyphen, and it will ask you for the password. And can somebody tell me, looking at the screen, what is the biggest thing that you see here? What do you see now? Anybody?
You are at root then?
Yeah, I am root. There you go. I started off this as a regular guy. Now I am root. That's a big deal. So notice here, you were just the test user. So I was just a test user now. Now I am root. Alright, so test user has become a root user now. Now, since you become a root user, you have full access to the system. So that's how it works here. You come into the system as a regular user. then you become root, and then from there you have access to the whole system. All right, so looks good, and any questions so far? No questions means good. So now I'm going to highlight this here. So I'm going to highlight this as yellow, and then this part as root as green. Okay, and let me put the picture here. Okay, so the user test 1 is now root user. Okay, and you have a full rights, and you could bring the system down or whatever you want to do, or you could do that. All right, so now that is the user administration. What time is it now? All right, so let's take a break, and so everybody be back at noon Central Time, and I will continue from there. Okay. Okay, so that is pretty much for the user administration. So now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna start another topic here. This one is much more deeper, and involves a good amount of understanding here. So okay, August 6th. So this topic is called permissions, and so this will get a lot of things involved here, like permissions, having permission to specific files and directories. This is what we're going to deal with. Okay, so now
Before we start, can I ask a question?
yeah,
Yeah, in the assignment 2, the first question was like copy the files from /tmp to your own directory, right?
yeah.
So how do we do that? That those are two different directories. If I go on tmp, then I can access the files there.
Yeah, so there are files, right? How many files I gave you? 3 files.
3 files.
Messages, Xfile, and joke.
Yes.
So let's go in there. And where is my putties? So going forward, we'll only be dealing with root user. Okay. So now, so let me exit out of here. and if I go to cdtmp, and you see files here, right? Oh, the files are gone since then. Did somebody moved it, or copy the files from temp to your own PFD directory? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna anybody else is having issue with this? So I'm gonna get rid of things from here and see what happens, okay? So these are system generated files here. Sometimes it comes and sits here. So I'm gonna create touch. Oh, I remember now. So what I have did was cp slash so there is a messages file, touch text file, job. Did I put anything in there? So okay. So now I think the files you were looking for was not there, missing. So now I have
Oh, so you were supposed to create the files. I created mine too.
no, I left those files in there, but they were gone. I don't know how was it removed. Now, so if you created in your own directory, no, delete that and then copy. So this one, copy the following files from temp files. So now these files are there. So copy to your own directory. Okay.
Yeah, I would like to know that step, how to copy from TMP to my own directory.
The copy command.
It's not working for me. I'm trying CP messages.
Well, it was not there now. Try it now.
Okay.
Now that I just created, because the file from there was gone. I remember putting the file in there, but it's gone. Let me see here. If I go into my history. Okay, try using the cp command you know of and see if it's going to work now.
Maybe you're in root, that's why it's not working.
No, you have to, you know what, hold on, that's a very good question. Let me change the permissions here. Okay, now, okay, what is the command you're using? You logged in as Aisha, right? And by the way, which server you are in, you must be doing a assignment to on master server, not your local server.
Yeah, I'm doing it on my master server.
Okay, good.
But I did not go to the root still because I didn't get time last week. So I'm going to do it this week.
Okay. No, you don't have, you can't do it as root on master server. You could do as So you are in PWD, right?
Yes.
So what is the command you do? cp/temp/messages, then a period, and you see the messages is in my file here. Let me remove this here. There is one more way you could do it. There is nothing in my present working directory here. cp/temp/ you could do asterisk 2 and a period. So one command, you get all the 3 files. So go ahead and try it. If the file is missing, let me know. I'll put the file back in there, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Alright. Okay, so now moving along. So we'll start working on permissions here. So let me clear and let me go to SSH and this line. So I'm on Zafar 1, I'm logged in as root, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say ls here, nothing is there, good. I'm gonna say touch, and I'm gonna say file1, and if I do ls-l file1. Alright, so you guys had this big question here, what is all this here? So this is the time I'm going to explain you what all this means. So what I'm going to do is so what are all these things here? So all these things means something here. So the very first thing is read write. RW now don't just look at the read write here, look at the spaces also. So in here you have a lot of positions here, what they actually mean. Okay, the first position, I'm worried about this here. 1, 2, 3 positions here. Read, write, and a hyphen. Okay, so this part is owner's permission. Okay, and this three spaces is group permission. Alright, and this part is other permission. Okay, and over here this is the user information. This is user. Okay, this is the owner and this is the group owner. owner of file, I should say. And this is a group owner. And about this part is the date stamp, timestamp. Alright, and this part is size. And this part is links, how many links the file has. Okay, so where do I put this?
Link in the sense soft link and hard link, that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Mhm. So all right, so that's all there to it. Okay, so it looks a little bit crowded here, but once you start working, it will be easy for you. So now what is going to happen here is, let me take the screenshot, and after that I'll put that in a okay. All right, so hopefully this has some information for you. So what I'm going to do is, the permissions, you see RW, RR and all this here, right? So I'm going to tell you what those means here. So very first thing is, the permissions have a number value in there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, okay, so read permission, and it's represented with R, lowercase r, and alright, and let me merge this. So Okay, read is R, and the value for read is now 4. Okay, in number terms, the value for read is 4. Write, WRITE, and is represented with W, and the value has is 2, and the last one is execute, and the value is X, and it has a value of number 1. So if you look in the file here, you already see RW and X is missing. So X won't be there for always. You have to provide it manually here. So what is happening here is read. The system says this file has, for root user, he could read and write. What he can read and write? He could read and write file 1. But there is no X. Where X supposed to be, it's blanks. It's a hyphen. That means he's not able to execute the file here. So total is going to be 7. And if it's read, write, execute.
How did we get the value of 2 for write?
We didn't get it. It's a system generated. It's already set, preset.
Yeah, but how did he count that? That's what I'm saying.
Value of 2. Okay, if
Yeah.
R means 4, W means 2, and X means Y. It's hard coded. You cannot change that.
Okay, it's already code. Okay.
Yeah, so it's any Linux system you go in there, you as a user, even as a root, you cannot change all that.
Okay, so
it's a
it
part
will
of
be
the
always
system.
4 to 1.
Yeah, 4 to 1. Read is going to be 4, write is going to be 2, and execute is going to be 1. So let me copy this part here. So this read write, these 3 positions is 1, and this 3 position is another permissions for different user. Okay, and this is for others. So how is that coming up? I'm going to show you here. So understanding for file 1, all right, so Okay, so what is going to happen is I'm going to merge this. Okay, so first three positions, if you look at the picture here, first three positions, looking at the picture, who is those first three positions for? Who will get this? First three positions will be for whom? Which user? First three positions will be for owner. Okay, so I'm going to put down the one in green is owner. Owner or user, and it's represented with U. Okay, lowercase u. And can somebody help me in green part? What are the permissions he has? What is the first one?
For?
Yeah, but yeah, correct. For. But what is it for?
Owner
Yeah, owner. But what is for?
read?
Yeah, read. Very good. And then let's go into next. What is the next one?
Write.
Okay,
That's
right.
gonna be
Very
2.
good. Very good. 2. And what is the last one?
Execute.
Yeah. But for this file, what is execute?
1.
Yeah, but this file has for this.
Is it a soft link? No.
No. This part
No.
here, within green part of this one here, if it's a hyphen, then it's 0, blank.
Okay.
Yeah. So if it's a hyphen, let me put this here. Hyphen is going to be 0. Alright, so now let's look at the yellow part here. There are 3 positions in there. And the yellow part is for group. And the group is represented with lowercase g. Okay? And
So that's gonna be 400.
yeah, 400. Very good. 400. And what is 4?
Right.
Read.
Sorry.
Yeah, read. And 0 here is write. And last one, what is 0 position here? Last one? Execute. All right. Now there is other users. It's called others. Other, and it's represented with lowercase o. And so this part is going to be read, write, execute. And what is this here in the blue? What is the position they
That's
have?
gonna be 4002.
Yeah, 4, 0, and 0.
Okay. So why do we use these numbers? Like you can, if we put these numbers instead of ls-l, if we put these numbers, you can figure out. Yeah.
So when you do ls-l and the file name is giving you the permission information here, and just by looking at it, what you could do is, instead of giving you numbers here, what it's doing is giving you the human readable form. So
yeah, that's what I'm asking. If we put a number instead of ls-l, so will we get the read write information like this?
yeah, the output is going to be the RWI. But when you're trying to change the permissions, you could use the numbers. Very, very good question.
Oh, okay.
Very good question. So let's do the total here. So if I merge these cells here and let me merge these cells here. Merge cells. So let me just fill in the color also. And this one, is that green matching with the one there? Is it matching? This one is better or this one? I guess this is it. And this one is no, that's a different green, isn't it?
Yeah, it's different.
Okay, so it's this here, and this one is yellow for sure, and this one is so you have a color coded here, and okay, so yeah, that way you know this is for read, write, and execute here. Okay, now what is the total here? Total for
Six,
yeah, this would be 6. Very good. 6,
4 and 4.
4 and 4. Okay, so the default file value, no matter what, how you created it, it will be 644. Okay, so read means a user can read the file. Okay, write means a user can write to the file. Okay, and execute means delete or cd into folder for folder. If the file is a folder, if it doesn't have an execute command, the user cannot go into the folder. And then or run script. I will tell you what the script is in a bit here. For now, just say script means it automatically runs some commands together. Okay, so the permission for file 1 is 644. Okay, or how permission for the file is 644. Why is it 6? Because you have two positions being used here, and third one is not. So when we did math earlier here, it's 420. That position 420. 4 plus 2 plus 0 is 6. So it's a little bit complex here, but if you keep practicing it and if you give some thought, it is very easy actually. And let's see here. So to put this in perspective for user, he is using read write, that means number 6, and he is number 4, he's reading only, and then group and others. So this is going to be read and 4. So what is user, group, and other? So this is a big question, right? How do you understand what a user is? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain that a bit. So user user. Okay, let me go in here. User. Okay, this is the person who created the file and is owner. Okay, group group is usually the owners group. What is the group of the root? Group of the root is group. Group of the root is root, right? Okay, so this is the user, and the group of the root is also root. Okay, yeah, that's a little bit confusing. Okay, so but that's how you need to realize that. Usually the owners group by default, and others will be other users in the system, other users in the system who are not owners. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let's see here. I'm going to create a directory here, mkdir/data, and I'm going to go in there and go data, pwd ls. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a file, touch file1. Okay, now I'm logging into the system as another regular user, which is test. And I'm going to go into the directory cd data, and I see ls in there, right? As a test user, so in this category, which permissions I would have? Which category I would fall in as a test user for this specific file?
Like own, what do you mean by category? Own user?
No, I'm a test user.
Mm-hmm.
And looking at here, which permission will apply to me?
Oh, okay.
Can you please repeat the question?
Okay, I logged in as test1, okay? And then I'm able to see the file1 here, okay?
Okay.
For test1, what is he considered as a test one? Which permission he think he will have?
He's the user, right?
No, he's not the user. Look at the
Like
user.
4-4?
He's a group.
No, he's not group either. He's other.
He's others. Okay.
Okay, so here let's go back to the picture. The first one is read write. Okay, and this is a owner. So who is the owner here? Owner is root. And over here this part is group. Group is root. Unfortunately, it doesn't show here. There should be one more category in here that says other, but other doesn't show. It shows only user and group. Others is hidden here. Others, it doesn't show here, right? And if it's not this, if the user is not root, if the user group is not root, all other users are other. So in this case, the test user is other. So which permission a test user would have looking at the file? Other. As other user,
He only has the read permission.
yeah, very good. This part is for this user. So if I go into the file, I'm going to add something to the file, file 1. And I'm going to say this is file 1. This is line 2. This is line 3. Okay, I'm going to save and exit out of there. And let me clear this cat file 1. So it's a user there. Now as a test user, what is cat considered?
Read.
Read. Yeah, there you go. Now you think the output will be on the screen?
Yes.
Okay, very good. A test user, he has read access only, so he's able to do the cat. Alright, so what we'll do is we'll stop here and then we'll pick up next week, and then we'll continue on. Okay, anybody have any questions? Please put it in a group, and we'll go from there. Okay. Alright, you have a good day.
Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum.
So,
Can you give us some assignment?
yeah, I will.